Is the Magnacut fad over yet? I'm so done with it, man. I never really liked Magnacut that much. I guess when it first came out, I sort of bought into the hype a little bit at first because everyone was saying, "Oh, this is the greatest steel ever created." You know, it's insanely good, and everyone was hyped on it, and seemingly still are, which is insane to me. It's been, I don't know, a couple of years now, right? That it's been really popular. Um, I kind of expected it to die out a lot sooner, but it hasn't. And I think it should. I really think it needs to. I think a lot of people just see Magnacut and say, "Ooh, I want that," without really knowing its properties or how it is compared to other blade steels or any of that. And I didn't at first either until I looked it up and I saw that on Laren Thomas's website, you can see a chart of most of the blade steels and how they're compared with each other. And he ranks them from like 1 to 15 ish in the 3 categories: toughness, edge retention, and corrosion resistance. And he gives them a value from, 0 to 15 about at how they are in those 3 categories. If you look at Magnacut, it's only a 5 for edge retention. It's really stainless and pretty tough too for how stainless it is. But it's only a 5 for edge retention. In comparison, if you look at D2, it is also a 5 in edge retention. Now, these numbers can vary, obviously, with the HRC, the hardness of the blade, and also the blade geometry plays a big role, too. But if we're looking at just the numbers, and this is based on that steel being hardened to its optimal range, these numbers in Laren Thomas's charts. If we're looking at just the numbers, D2 holds an edge just as good as Magnacut. That's crazy. I didn't realize that when I saw that, like maybe last year, I think was when I first realized. I was like, man, why do people like this so much? And I guess because it's tough and stainless and has decent edge retention. It has all 3. It's not really good at any one thing. I guess its greatest attribute is stainlessness. It's pretty darn stainless. Most blade steels are high in one of the categories and not as high in the other 2. Steels like Magnacut are really high in edge retention, up to like I think 12 on the scale of 1 to 15. I say 1 to 15 because I think it used to be 1 to 10, but then steels like Magnacut started coming out or becoming popular, and they were like even above 10, so he bumped up. I think Magnacut's like 11 or 12. 15V is like 10, or I don't know. It's above 10, so I think the highest on the chart is like 13 maybe. But a lot of steels are, one or the other. You get really stainless or super good edge retention, or super tough and not really good edge retention. Magnacut is probably, I will admit, is probably the most well-rounded blade steel. But here's the thing. Most of us EDC people that carry knives on a daily basis, folding knives, we don't need a super tough knife, number one. And we probably don't need a super stainless knife, unless you live in like a super moist environment where you've owned blades in like D2 and, some sort of more carbon-based blade steels, and you get rust a lot of the time. If that happens to you, then maybe you do need some more stainless blade steels. Where I live in Central California, and I think a lot of you around the world don't need a super stainless blade steel. The only knife I own that has a single spot of rust on it is my 15V, which is high edge retention, low stainlessness. That's the only knife that has any rust whatsoever, any sort of rust. If you don't, I mean, not counting my GECs, which are 1095, those have patina, but they're not rusted, they have patina. So most of us don't really need a super stainless knife blade. We don't need a super tough blade because we're opening boxes, breaking down cardboard, we're not chopping, we're not prying. We're not doing anything that you would do with like a fixed blade. You know, fixed blades are different, especially the larger ones. You know, you're going to be chopping, batoning maybe. Those need to be tough. We're talking about, you know, folding knives. Anywhere from 2-inch blades to 4-inch blades. Do not need to be that tough. I'm looking for edge retention, baby. I want the best edge retention possible. And I don't care if those other categories are low. I don't care at all. My Maximet's one of my favorite blade steels. It doesn't seem to really get rust spots like my 15V does. It just gets a patina, which is so cool. Like it's not rust. The color of the blade darkens a little bit in certain areas, and it just looks really cool. If you're not into that, that's fine. You could get like S45VN, 20CV, you know, M390. Those are pretty stainless, but also pretty high edge retention too. S45VN is awesome. I love it. I've never seen a rust spot on any of my S45VN, and it holds an edge really nicely. So I don't really get why Magnacut's so popular. I think it's a lot of the hype behind it is why it's so popular. And a lot of knife makers don't really get it either. I remember we were at Blade Show Atlanta last year, 2024, and we were at the TRM booth, kind of not after hours, but it was at the end of the show. Everyone was kind of clearing out, and my buddy Jason had gone in to get his Atom fixed. It was something wrong with it. I forget what it was. So as we were sitting there, the guy was tinkering with the knife. We were talking with one of the TRM employees that works in the shop. I don't know what exactly he did, but he said he worked in the shop, the TRM shop. And I forget how we got on the subject, but we were talking about Magnacut, and he was saying that none of them in the shop really liked Magnacut, but everyone has been clamoring for Magnacut, so they said, all right, we'll make our knives in Magnacut. You know, TRM is really good about listening to the knife community and giving them what they want, which is one of their greatest attributes, I think. But, you know, also things like that happen where, hey, we don't really like working with Magnacut. We don't think it's the best blade steel by far. We'd probably rather be using 20CV like we used to. But everyone wants it, so okay, well, fine, we'll do it. That's my only example that I have. I'm sure it's happening more than just at TRM, though. So can we please stop? Can we stop with the Magnacut? And, okay, I know some people in the comments will be like, yeah, there have been knife tests on YouTube where Magnacut has greatly outperformed other blade steels. Well, keep in mind, at least the one I'm thinking of, that was Magnacut on a Spyderco with exceptional blade geometry, you know, just a blade designed to slice. And so obviously it's going to do really good with cutting cardboard, which is usually what the method of testing is. But if you took like a Hinderer in Magnacut with really thick geometry, it would not do nearly as good. In fact, I kind of want to do this. I kind of want to take like a knife in Magnacut with really thick geometry and like a Spyderco in Magnacut. Same HRC, or at least close, but wildly different blade geometries, and just watch the Spyderco way outperform the Hinderer or whatever thick geometry. I'm just using Hinderer because they are notorious for having thick geometry. And the same would go in the opposite direction, like a knife with really good thin cutting geometry in D2 is going to do better than something with thick geometry in Magnacut. It's just a lot to do with the geometry. So I know a lot of us have probably had like a Spyderco or something really slicey in Magnacut and been like, man, this thing is holding an edge really nicely. It's cutting like crazy. I love Magnacut. It's not really the Magnacut though, it's the geometry that's doing it, not necessarily the blade steel. So let me know what you think in the comments. If I'm completely off base, I don't think I am. But of course there may be factors I'm not taking into consideration. If there are, let me know in the comments, we'll talk about it. But I would like to be done with Magnacut. You know, I recently bought my Hinderer Jurassic, and it's in Magnacut. I would have way rathered an S45VN one, which I don't think they have in the skinny or in the hollow slicers, which is what I wanted. And it's fine. I just did a cut test with it. It's fine. It holds an edge just as well as I would expect Magnacut to, in that blade shape and blade geometry. But it could have been better, man. If it was S45VN, it would have done better, definitely. That's all I'm saying. So that's it. Let me know what you think. Like the video before you head out if you liked it, and I'll see you next time.